All right, I'm late. Sorry about that. Computer just moving slow. Now, before we get started, I need people just to keep in mind that there is a name for almost all phobias. There's some animals where there's no specific name for it. Like, there's a name for a fear of rabbits, fear of cats, but there's no name for a fear of groundhogs. So, excuse me, those animals would fall under the umbrella of zoophobia. Zoophobia. The doctors nowadays are all over the place. And they advise exposure therapy to get over these phobias. But why would you want to go around a grizzly bear, a lion, a tiger, a dangerous, deadly animal? But if you look around, you'll see them saying, hey, exposure therapy, exposure therapy. So it's like these doctors don't apply common sense to any of their practices. Doctors are dangerous. Okay, we can't just do everything that they tell us to do because they themselves are like robots. Whenever there's a doctor that applies common sense to their practice, they're deemed as a legendary historic doctor. I mean, let's just keep it real. Okay, so a lot of times I think people overestimate our advancement in evolution. For the people who don't know about xenophobia, I want y'all to listen to this.
Did you know? Cynophobia is one of the most common animal-related phobias, alongside arachnophobia, fear of spiders, and ophidiophobia, fear of snakes. What is cynophobia? Cynophobia is an intense and irrational fear of dogs. While many
That's the first mistake. And like I said in the title, I dare any doctor, I challenge any doctor to object to any of my objections. This is y'all's standard information. And throughout, I'm going to object to it. Okay? Do you question in any way my objections? It's real simple. You can't call a fear of dogs irrational if those dogs are truly lethal. You know, the word irrational is there for a reason. You can have a rational fear of something as well. Fear is in, I'm not going around this thing. Not about to go around this thing pretending that it's harmless, like an idiot. Walk up, start kissing on it, rubbing on it. Not about to act like a flipping lunatic. Y'all think y'all have to do all of that to prove that it's not irrational? Did you? I have no idea what goes on through these people's heads. A fear of rabbits, I'd say that's irrational. Rabbit's not going to do nothing to you. Right? Some of you have heard of groundhogs. There's a movie called Groundhog Day, right? I think the actor was Bill Murray. Groundhog Day. We have a Groundhog Day, don't we? Well, here in Ohio, there are a lot of groundhogs. I see groundhogs every day. They live all around us in this part of the country. Now, groundhogs can look kind of strange. They can be fairly large, and they move. gracefully. They're not erratic. They move sort of like squirrels, right? They can move fast, and then they can stop. And when they stop, they're perfectly still, like a statue. And in the blink of an eye, they'll run. And they're very fast, extremely fast. Now, I can understand people having a fear of these things because of how strange. And they'll stand upright like this. They'll stand on 2 feet, like a small little grizzly bear. I could understand, or at least young people, having a fear of these things. But even that's irrational, because these things are harmless. They see you, they run. If you get too close, they're going to run. I've never been attacked by no groundhog. They know where their hole is. They build these holes, and their holes have like chambers in them. They know exactly where their hole is. So if you walk across or across their territory, they're going to stay perfectly still. And if you get too close, they're going to shoot right to that hole, and they're going to shoot down that hole with the quickness. They're not going to attack you. This anxiety that people tell us the dogs deal with that causes them to attack people, these other animals don't respond by attacking. So why should we look at launching attacks as a reasonable or logical reaction to anxiety or fear when it comes from an animal? All these other animals run away. They get a little scared. They get a little frightened. Get a little startled. They take off. Dogs attack, and we're supposed to look at that as that's understandable. No, it's not. So even that's irrational. And I could understand, hey, you don't have to be afraid of groundhogs. I could see people trying to correct that.
Many people might feel uneasy around certain animals. Cynophobia goes beyond simple discomfort, causing significant distress and avoidance behavior.
I don't believe that. Listen to this.
Of cynophobia. Individuals with cynophobia may experience physical symptoms: sweating, trembling, rapid heartbeat, shortness of breath, or nausea when near dogs.
I don't believe that. I believe most people with this cynophobia, they simply avoid dogs. They don't start sweating and shaking and trembling. Now, maybe some people do. Maybe some people do. It's not all of them. I don't believe that at all.
Dogs, or thinking about them. Emotional symptoms: intense fear, panic attacks, or feelings of dread at the sight or sound of a dog. Behavioral symptoms: avoiding places where dogs might be present or planning activities to minimize exposure to dogs.
Now, anxiety, increased anxiety, I can understand that, because these things are lethal. Okay? I just believe that the majority of people, that's the extent. I don't buy that they all shaking and trembling and sweating and all this kind of stuff. Seeing stuff, hallucinating, hearing voices in their head. Stop it.
Dogs. Causes of cynophobia. Traumatic experiences: a past negative encounter with a dog, such as a bite or aggressive behavior, may trigger the phobia. Learned behavior: observing
about which would make sense. Duh. Dog bite your face off. You sitting there faceless. Don't you think dogs have given you a reason to avoid them? No, you want to talk to us. Exposure therapy. You need to spend more time around the dog. And I'm making this video or stream because somebody left a good comment. I can't remember who. And pointed out how they use this when young people are attacked, when people, maybe even adults, but most definitely when young people are attacked, they bring dogs in there. Quite often, while they're still in the hospital, they'll bring dogs in there. They'll tell their parents, take your child around dogs. Do not allow them to be afraid of dogs, and do not allow them to avoid dogs, to actively avoid dogs going forward. That's the exact opposite advice you should give them. That's what I'm arguing. And like I said, I dare any doctor to object to what I'm saying. The correct advice is the opposite advice. You tell them now you see why you should avoid these things. Your friends got them. You're not going over that friend's house. You understand? Rules is going to be based around this. We're going to implement xenophobia. What you talking about? There's benefits to avoiding dogs. And this is what this is all about. It's all about avoiding dogs. That's what they don't like. They're primarily saying that there's a problem and it works against you. It works against your best interests, works against your quality of life to actively avoid dogs. That's what they're arguing. Are you out of your whole entire mind? You must be. That's the worst, man. That's one of the worst arguments I've heard anybody try to make. I'm not just picking on you doctors. Anybody. Tell me that's not one of the worst arguments you ever heard in your life. Of all creatures, you want to say it's irrational to try to avoid, you going to mention dogs? Really? And you're even holding young people to this standard? Y'all crazy. Y'all crazy. Let's continue.
May trigger the phobia. Learned behavior, observing a family member or close individual showing fear of dogs. Genetics and personality, a predisposition to anxiety or other phobias might increase susceptibility. Cultural influences, certain cultures or communities may associate dogs with danger or impurity. Treatment options.
You notice how they go over all these things and act like they're all irrational and don't make no sense. Like they're not credible. Like they're not, credible, logical reasons to avoid dogs. If it's cultural influences, maybe your religion, maybe it's there for a reason. Right? If it's built into your genetics, maybe that's there for a reason. Huh? Personality. If it's a learned behavior, if you got a family member who's afraid of dogs, maybe there's a good reason why they are. Y'all can't just wow. This is shameful stuff, man. And just a horrible argument. Overall, let's continue.
Dogs with danger or impurity. Treatment options. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. Helps challenge and change irrational thoughts about dogs. Includes gradual exposure therapy to desensitize individuals.
Why would you desensitize people to something that's actually lethal? That's wrong. That's incorrect. That makes no sense. Okay? I got a problem with that. You doctors, y'all don't know what y'all doing. We've been overrating y'all. Sadly. We've been, and I don't blame your profession. I blame y'all for disgracing. Y'all could all, change all of this nonsense yourselves by applying common sense. This is what, our medical professionals are politicized. We can't trust them to give us the best advice. This is horrible.
Relaxation techniques. Practices like deep breathing, meditation, and progressive muscle relaxation to manage anxiety. Medication. Anti-anxiety medications or antidepressants.
Oh, shut up. Let's skip to the part that matters most.
Look at pictures or videos of dogs to slowly build comfort. Use visualization.
Look at pictures to build comfort. No.
Imagine yourself calmly interacting with a friendly dog.
No.
Seek professional help. Therapists specialize in phobias, can provide structured treatment plans. If you or someone you know struggles with...
Man, this video don't even include everything. I've shared that before. They tell you to sit at a distance and look at dogs. To go to maybe a park or something, to look at a real dog, to start with pictures, looking at pictures, maybe progress to looking at videos, then look at real dogs from a distance. Oh, yes, they do. Then they tell you, get closer and closer. Could you imagine doing this with a half a face? Because your other half got ripped off by a dog when you were young? Or maybe just a few days ago? How does that make sense? How does that make sense? Okay, we don't understand that. You doctors, medical professionals, not everything you say makes sense. Sometimes you should be willing to provide clarity. It's not offensive. Y'all always try to paint me like some radical or you attack society and the professionals in society. These are valid questions. Right? Get over yourself. These are valid questions. And it's reasonable for the general public to ask for clarity on this. How does that make sense? Don't tell me to get closer. And y'all want to get us to the point where we're back to rubbing and kissing and trusting them and treating them as if they're harmless again. Why? To get the other half of our face ripped off so you could treat that half and make a whole bunch of money. Okay, but I ain't gonna talk about that, right? And then tell us now we got no face at all. Tell us, hey, scoot back, get close to the dog again. Something's wrong with you if you try to avoid them. Get out of here. Again, that's one of the worst, if not the worst, arguments I ever heard in my life that I've heard anybody make. Shame on y'all. Shame on everybody involved in this madness.
Hi, my name's Nat and I'm an OT at Kites Therapy doing animal assisted therapy for children. And some of the children who come to see us have a severe fear of dogs. We actually see a lot of progress with these kids when we approach it really gently. They come and they do an 8-week block of sessions with us, and often the first couple of weeks there's no dog present. We look at pictures and we talk about dogs. Sometimes we look at one of the dogs through the window and with a really...
Through the flipping window? See, this is what's kept under the table, under the radar. They don't really talk about this. But these types of things go on. This is, I don't even want to say the word.
Gradual approach. We aim to end up with the dog in
Wow, get out of here.
room and the child feeling confident to be in the same proximity as a dog, and then eventually work towards it being a little bit more real life where we might be walking on the footpath with a dog.
There is no benefit in doing this. This only works against them and us. This only works against us. It makes no sense whatsoever. And this is what they do to attack victims.
Or being out in the community with one of the dogs. For more information, have a look at the Kites.
You have them there feeding that dog repeatedly. Like, y'all are crazy. I can't keep up with dog attacks. I mean, just hosting a channel that keeps up with dog attacks, that's a serious job. Dogs are overproving that they're dangerous. That's not an argument. Nobody should be making this argument. This was uploaded 6 years ago.
Being calm while he puts his paw on you.
Just a few months ago, this would not have been possible.
When I saw
Oh, no, I'm not even going to, nope. We're not even going to watch that. Now, I want to show y'all something here. Sorry, there's just some videos I can't watch. Because some of these videos are like, they're manipulative. They're like exposure videos. And they're not based on the real benefit of the subjects. It's for their own personal benefit. Now, earlier, I said that I don't believe that these people, these xenophobia people who have xenophobia, the majority of them just avoid dogs for obvious common sense reasons. These are very annoying, stinking, nasty, lethal creatures. Retarded, they're deranged, they stink, annoying, food begging, lethal, deadly, bloodthirsty beasts. Okay, we don't have to make an argument why we avoid these things. That's the majority of these people with so-called xenophobia. And that's what they're attacking. Okay? There may be some people who shake and tremble and do all this stuff, but I think it's extremely rare. This video right here proves, in my opinion, proves that it's rare. How rare it is. Because I believe this guy he's pretending. He's faking. Look at this.
Really worried about the next level for him.
So, as you can see, we are here in the beautiful Golden Gate Dog Park. You don't go to parks, do you? Why not?
No.
Why?
They're dog friendly.
Well, that
Beaches,
sounds like
parks.
a good thing.
To you, not to me.
Okay.
This exposure is going to bring up a lot of pain and memories from the past.
Oh, hell no.
Hey, Marvin.
That's just as about as fake and phony as a $3.50 bill. You scared of dogs, but you crazy about needles. We supposed to believe that? And look at you, like a UFC fan. Tell me you scared of dogs. Don't tell me you seek to look like the way you look. Got face tattoos and all. But you scared of dogs? Like a DMX fan. And you heard it. Oh, hell no. His old fake shaking and trim. You ain't even shaking. Sitting there looking goofy. This was poor acting.
Why?
They're dog friendly.
Well, that
Beaches,
sounds
parks.
like a good thing.
To you, not to me.
Okay.
This exposure is going to bring up a lot of pain and memories from the past.
Oh, hell no.
Hey, Marvin, stay with me.
This pit bull puppy comes on a corner. My heart like almost jumped out of my body.
Stay with me. Stay with me. You're okay. Stay with me. Let's do this together. You're good. You're in control. If you're backing up, you're running from your fear. We'll let the dog get closer to you, but I don't want you to back up. This dog represents 40 years of being in pain. So can I let the dog come closer?
A little bit.
Okay.
So, obviously, it's so rare for a person to have this full-blown xenophobia that they had to find somebody to pretend like they had it. How pathetic is that? Again, the majority of people with xenophobia, they simply avoid dogs for common sense reasons. Y'all shouldn't have had to get somebody to act. You couldn't find somebody with the real full-blown xenophobia? No, they couldn't. The most they could find is people who said, I just avoid them. They don't have this. And she brought out a puppy. Get out of here.
Okay, you tell her when to stop. I'm gonna let you tell her. Okay, all right. Good, good, good. You're good. Do not look away from the dog. Okay?
You see how they didn't want to have a adult pit bull? Something that really did look scary. See, that would have worked against this. And this was uploaded on Animal Planet. 5.67 million subscribers. Video got 5.4 million views. Look at this. Who else feels really sorry that he has this kind of phobia? Huh? These people really, they're not even calling this out. They're going along with it because dog lovers want to believe this nonsense. This is the scariest part of this. Look, there should at least be people who saying, hey, this is fake. Are y'all convinced? This is the perfect audience to ask this to. Dog culture critics. Does this look genuine to you?
Okay, go ahead and come a little bit closer. You're all right. Okay, think of your family who is not going to want you to suffer. I think you should pet the dog.
See, no, she's looking at me. No.
Marvin, come on, Marvin. Ooh. Think of your girls. Think of your girls. Think of your girls.
I'm really a coward.
You're not a coward. You are not a coward. You are a strong person.
Stop it. Stop it. That is pathetic. I'm not buying this. Okay? This is not us. Does this guy represent you? This is not how I behave. Yes, I avoid dogs. But I don't believe anybody else. I believe it's extremely rare for anybody to react like this. Don't try to project the people who avoid dogs as being mentally ill like this guy. Stop it.
You're not a coward, Marvin.
See? Y'all want us to oh, you're cowards. Y'all think that we think that we're cowards? Look at what they're trying to put out there. This is Animal Planet special on xenophobia. Really?
I close my eyes and I go back in time.
Man, stop. If he's really this mentally disturbed, then dogs have nothing to do with it. There are clearly several things that could trigger him, and the source has nothing to do with dogs. This is ridiculous. Now, I'm not even going to finish this. Do y'all want to see the rest of this?
Like where I was when I was 5 years old.
This is why you're confronting your fear, because you can't keep living like this. Okay? You can't keep living in sheer terror.
Now, wait a minute. Is this another dry cry? See, they're used to doing this. They're used to, and not a tear coming from their face. We see them doing this in real time. Wow.
Keep living in sheer terror. Enough is enough.
Babies.
I know.
Can't love my babies.
I know.
So much.
You cannot leave being.
Are you kidding? One of us who truly avoid dogs, we're not going to be sitting there crying about ourselves being cowards. We're going to be educating you. If you really want to be filled in on why we avoid dogs, we don't have no problem doing that. But stop with this. Jumping to conclusions to benefit yourselves.
Afraid still. I know you're going to be scared, but you have to touch the dog before you leave. I'm sorry. Walk up to the dog.
Wow. You know what? I bet you they talk to these victims just like this. You have to touch the dog before we leave. Okay? We've been here with the dog. This is the 5th time we've been here, and you still haven't touched the dog. So today you're going to have to touch the dog, at least touch it before we leave. Okay, you touch it. Now tomorrow, you're going to have to actually rub it tomorrow. Sick, man. This is hard to even to look at.
Let's see you shaking.
Is he really shaking? Really? Okay.
Oh my God.
I mean, if it's this easy to fool people, wow. What am I waiting for?
Look at you.
Stop it. You don't have to do this. Why do people... Oh my goodness. Like, what's wrong with just being genuine and doing things that make sense? What's wrong with that?
Yeah, I'm okay.
For the first time, we're seeing the little girl who survived.
Wait, what? Wait a minute. Now, they spilled the beans. I don't know if y'all remember this.
I said, Sarai, are you okay with everybody seeing you the way that you're? She said, yeah, I'm okay.
For the first time, we're seeing the little girl who survived the vicious dog attack that killed her young friend. She's still bandaged, but little Sarai Sanders is amazing doctors and her family with the progress that she's made in the weeks.
You see that?
Since dogs attacked her and her friend as they walked to their bus stop.
And tonight we are seeing her for the first time since that attack. Sarai's mother shared this video of Sarai in physical therapy. She's amazed at the strength her daughter has shown as she...
Man, haven't we seen enough? Just seeing this is enough for me. This proves that this is what they do. They brought 2 dogs in there. She hasn't even healed yet. Upon the doctor's advice, suggestion, let's get some dogs in here before you leave this hospital. They brought 2 of them in there. Okay, are we still crazy on this side of the street? This is madness. Madness. Dog culture. Listen, I've accepted that y'all have no argument, like just whatsoever. And none of you are crazy enough to call up here to join a live stream, to disagree, to put up an argument. You're not crazy enough to put an argument in the comment section. This is just one of those times where one party has no defense. Just one of those rare situations. Y'all don't have no argument, no defense, in no way, shape, form, or fashion for dogs in society. You just want them. It's a strange dynamic. Their dogs are just something that y'all want. There's no logical argument. And if you try, whenever y'all try to make a logical argument, it's fake. You need actors like we just saw. It's all make-believe. Truly, truly pathetic. So I've accepted this. And instead, I'm going to interview other dog culture critics. That's the best thing to do anyways. Why do I say this? Because there's a lot of questions that needs to be answered publicly. In order to influence people people need to hear other people making sense. Talking like they got sense. And I'm going to start, when I interview people, all I'm going to do is ask you a line of questions. That's the extent of the interview. I shared the questions with the members. Most of the questions. I shared most of the questions already with the members so that the members are, they get an opportunity to better think through their replies, maybe even give input on some additional questions. For example, if they also come up with good questions to ask, I'm going to include their recommendations to the question list, to the list of questions. Let me change screens because everything about dog culture is kind of sick and twisted. Okay? Questions that I think need to be answered publicly by real world people. Because dogs, as we all know, there are more dogs than there is children in this country. Like it or not, they're a part of society. And as we all know, they've ruined a lot of relationships. They've sent a lot of people to the grave. They've done a lot of harm. And they've justified people's decision to avoid them. And that is what people don't hear enough of. Now, for the members who read the questions, you understand why I say that. You understand why I asked some of the questions that I asked. People don't hear enough from people who actually avoid dogs. So we don't need y'all to find actors or try to tell us why we avoid dogs. We're the ones supposed to tell you. It's disrespectful for them to even try that. Tell us why we avoid them. Let alone to tell us that it's bad for us to avoid them. When your crowd of people who surround yourself by dogs, you're the ones that's mutilated. Sadly, many of you have passed, been unalived. You've gotten many helpless victims unalived. So y'all dealing with the consequences. Those are consequences. We deal with benefits. Benefits, as not dealing with the consequences that y'all deal with. There are no consequences to avoiding dogs. There's only benefits. There's nothing but benefits. You got cleaner everything. Cleaner air, cleaner sofa. Everything. I don't know about anybody else. It's been hard for me to keep my dislike for dogs to myself. And I can't pretend. There's no way now that I could go into a home where there's a dog. I couldn't do that. No matter what. And I know there are other people like me. So yeah, in that sense, it might change the relationship. Dogs definitely come between relationships in that sense. If we're going to see each other, it's going to be outside of your home while that dog's not here. But contrast that to the benefits. The benefits might be personal to you. And stuff like that will be up to the person being interviewed to fill us in on. So this is, and for me, will be like an expansion of this platform, is to hear more from real world people who avoid these things, who avoid at all costs. Okay? Y'all, the world likes to project us as like unreasonable, crazy, mentally unstable. You have to go around dogs. Why should we ignore what y'all are going through as dog lovers? Tell us that first. Make sense out of that first. Why should we ignore that? Y'all taking L after L, getting mutilated, torn up, and you're getting, again, defenseless victims torn apart. Why should we ignore that? And just look at what? Just pretend that the dog doesn't stink? Pretend that it's not annoying? Pretend that it's somehow pleasant to touch and rub on? No, thank you. Lord, y'all, you know what? I can at least thank dog culture for providing something so crazy that you can actually build a platform talking about. Thank you at least for that. Shout out to all of you able to join me for this live stream. And I hope you can join me on the next. I'll be back tomorrow as we continue with this crusade.